We're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wolfspen Radio Show with your hosts, Wolf King, and the panelists, Xbox Fiend, Durrican, and Fastworld Almighty. Step into the den at your own risk. Bow, wow, wow. All right, we got some crazy ass list of news stories, so let's get into it. What you guys got? What one? How you doing?
Hey, what's happening? Good. Been a good week.
You, Chaz, you're doing good?
Yeah, I'm doing cushy, mate.
All right, now let's get into some stuff because I've heard the Glenn Beck character. I've heard him getting apparently he's got his knickers in a bunch. Apparently about the new let's see what was that, the new Nicki Minaj flick. Hold on, let's see if I can get that flick up. Well, not flick, but audio. Mm. Oh yeah, also something about Eminem too, but not necessarily directed at that. Apparently something else about an exorcism. What do you guys think about exorcisms? You know what? Forget. Let's go into that first. So apparently, a dude on YouTube made a video about these Starbucks having an exorcism. Let me just pull out the audio here. Okay, so apparently that was a group, a small prayer group in front of Starbucks, performing an exorcism on one individual, saying saying basically, demon, get out of here. You have no grounds to be here. Get out. And it's really interesting to me because within a 21st century society, it would seem kind of frivolous to actually worry about that, because it's like, historically when people did demonic possessions on people, usually those victims had symptoms that would be consistent with dissociative identity disorder, like mental disorder, some stuff that could be answered with psychology, neurology, and stuff like that. It would seem kind of superfluous to actually like do this constantly, because I mean, that's not how you actually treat people. It's just that they're just like saying a bunch of stuff and hoping it fits or something happens. But what do you guys think?
Well, a lot of the times, in the early days, with things about demonic possession and witchcraft and stuff like that, what was actually going on? There was a very famous case where there was a batch of rye, and lots of baked goods. I mean, things weren't kept in the cleanest and best of conditions, and things weren't sanitary, and there wasn't sort of like good knowledge about hygiene. So what happened a lot of the time, things became infected with mold, and people got all manner of diseases from these molds and stuff, and they would get like septicemia, and then that, like, their whole body would start to turn septic and stuff like that, and they would swear it was on because of witchcraft. They had been cursed, somebody was out to get them, and because of a lot of the different illnesses that they got, and sort of horrible things they got exposed to, it often left them with sort of delusions and you know, these molds would cause things like hallucinations and stuff like that. And there is a natural tendency in the human brain to sort of go with the herd. We are a herd creature, and you know, that's what, you know, caused a lot of this. And I mean, in this situation, what we've got is a bunch of people who probably aren't that well educated. We've got some stuff that they don't really know how to explain, but they do have one explanation, the batshit crazy one, which is this must be the work of some evil of some description. This person's a victim of witchcraft. This person's demonically possessed. You know, they didn't understand epilepsy and all sorts of things like that as well. So when they saw all manner of different seizures going on, a lot of the time they think, but to still have these people believe this shit now, I mean, I don't mind if you want to like do it as part of like a joke thing, but it's when you start taking this exorcism thing seriously, that's when there's problems. It's just like you have to ask, where did society go wrong for these people?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, well, I mean, I'll tell you this much. You know, it's, you know, I mean, if this group, you know, wants to do it in front of like in front of Starbucks is, and you know, I mean, it's cool as long as you know they pay for their coffee, you know. But I mean, you know, it's fine as long as you know they're not trying to force that bullshit on anyone else, you know, like.
You know, they should exercise
I'm
outside of Starbucks. They should exercise Starbucks' fucking unpaid tax money out of Starbucks. That's what they should try and do.
Yeah. But it, you know, I honestly just, I mean, you know, in terms of like social science, I guess I'm kind of appealing to the early college nerd in me. In that I guess it's interesting to study for the sake of like just trying to understand human behavior and psychology and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't really see any importance on, you know, other than just studying superstition and stuff like that and different cultural beliefs and all this. But Xbox, what do you think?
That's what happens when you get a bunch of Christians hyped up on caffeine. That's about it. Just the joke. There's not much more to it, Chaz, than you said. I think it's crazy.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. All right, let's go to this Glenn Beck one because I was real interested in showing this one first. Hold on. Apparently, he has something up his butt about Nicki Minaj, and we're about to hear it right now.
You see this Nicki Minaj thing? I watch it and I'm horrified by it. It is a video. It's all fascistic Nazi stuff. And then what's worse is if you listen to the lyrics, and if those are the lyrics, we haven't shown them really because you can't. It's all the effort. It's all about what you do to somebody else, what you do to women. It is the most degrading thing I have seen. It was so horrifying. And what they've done is they've taken the Nazi images, and then they're taking and they're mixing sex, graphic, awful sex, with the images of sex. Is anybody Jewish in the audience? Is Jewish? Okay. Do you keep kosher? Okay. Do you know why you keep kosher? Sort of. Let's see if I get it wrong. But kosher is kept. You keep milk and meat away from each other. And you keep milk and meat because milk is life. Milk is, in fact, sustains life. Meat is death. That's death. You don't put life and death together. When you see a snuff film, there is nothing more disturbing to me than when you see a movie and they're mixing graphic sex and death. Next.
Okay, so that was Glenn Beck, who's apparently agitated by the Nicki Minaj video because apparently it's to it doesn't keep kosher because it invokes scenes from World War II in terms of Nazi Germany. And you know, honestly, I gotta say this. It's called Only, and it's by Nicki Minaj featuring Drake. Lil Wayne and some other dude. I forgot his name. Anyway, it just happened to use scenes that you'd expect to see from Nazi Germany, like with explosions and stuff like that, and actually some other rather imagined pieces. And honestly, it's interesting to me that this Glenn Beck guy, like just excluding the whole Mormon, now you're a Jew thing. I mean, if not, you're kind of a fan of like the Jewish tendencies with regard to the religion, but you want to talk about being like you believe in the Constitution, but you're willing to step on someone's free speech because it sort of impacts you in terms of your religious beliefs. See, I think that's actually, just to say that, I think that's almost fascist. I think that's something that invokes the Nazis. And I actually seen that video. And I might drop the link. Oh, and by the way, anyone who's watching, stick around because we're about to drop the link soon. Well, not soon, but around the show. But anyway, honestly, it's just just some imagined stuff. There was also a black guy that wore a Nazi uniform in there. You think we're ever gonna truly see that in reality? And if we do, it's probably gonna be on a probability of 1 in a fucking million. It's just an artist representing an idea, and some will like it, some won't. Who fucking cares? It's America. Public sphere. What do you guys think?
What'd you say the name of the song was? Lonely? Is it the Lonely Island?
No, Only.
Only. Okay. I was gonna check it out.
Yeah, featuring Drake, Lil Wayne, and somebody else. I mean, basically the lyrics are like, "Yo, I never fucked Wayne, I never fucked Drake. Oh my life, fuck's sake. If I did, I'd menage with them and let them eat my ass like a cut cape. My man fool, he just ate. I don't duck nobody like tape."
Yeah, it's actually
that was a setup for a punchline on duct tape.
If that's mixing life and death, I'd like to bang her alive or dead.
Well, it's just like a World War II motif or a Nazi motif. It's not actual Nazi stuff or actual World War II stuff.
Exactly. You ain't gonna see black folks like start dressing in Nazi uniforms because of this. I'm not gonna. I mean, look, I might have.
That's not true. That's not true. There's a black actor who was in, I think, Warhorse or something like that. In another thing he was in, he was a black Nazi. I found that hilariously funny.
Well, the whole concept of it, though, is that she's the boss. And that's one of the last lines of the song.
Exactly.
She's the dictator kind of thing. She's the boss.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I mean, it's grasping.
There's some great iconography from the Nazis, and if you actually look at National Socialism, it's not just about hating Jews and stuff like that. There's a lot of nuance that has been lost about the Nazis and Nazism.
Mm-hmm.
Because of modern day culture, this sort of like they're the bad guys and that's just all you really get. They've become kind of blanded by history into just being your atypical bad guy figures, your stormtroopers, you're just kind of washed away any of that sort of nuance or anything about what Nazism was about or what was going on at the time.
Yeah. And that's a good point. Was he bitching about Star Wars at the same time with the Stormtroopers and Darth Vader?
Yeah, because that was all built off of Nazi iconography.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, come on, if that guy's got a problem, why isn't he complaining about Hugo Boss, who are dodging taxes in several countries and used to make fucking uniforms for the Nazis?
Yep. And didn't Darth Vader even make the little Nazi salute to when he picks Luke up with the Force and all that? Just kidding. But yeah. Why isn't he attacking like the real issues. Like even what you're saying is not even necessarily.
Well, I mean, it's a refreshing change, I suppose, from the people who say that Drake, Rihanna, and Nicki Minaj are all part of the Illuminati and this shit. And
that dumb bullshit. I mean, honestly, I hear this. I'm not gonna lie to you. I used to believe it like in high school, but you know, I was I mean, honestly, I thought the bullshit in Naruto was probable. You know, then again, I mean, it comes a time when you actually stop to actually learn and think about this stuff and just look at the way people are structured in society with regard to like status. Like you got your scholars, you got your scientists and doctors and judges. And your entertainers, comedians, rap artists, and stuff like that. Sure, they have a sense of influence with regard to like how far they get to, but to say that it's part of this this grand conspiracy that overlaps with politics and other bullshit, it's just insanity.
You're leaving out Satan. Satan runs it all, and all these work for Satan.
Oh yeah, Satan, of course.
Do you know what? Right, I'm reading the lyrics to this song. And it is bad. She rhymes tape with tape, and then it's just into like fate, straight and 8 and late update. 2 with 2 is with quiz. It is the world's most childish rapping ever. And look, then Chris Brown comes in and rhymes sky with July. You know, it's just like, oh, and then rhymes the word only with only and only and only. I mean, Chris Brown isn't a lyricist. He's just good at laying down the beats.
That's what
Rihanna.
Nikki just repeats words in her raps.
It's just, Chaz, it's just like The Office with you. You just, the Americans just took that stuff and just made it worse, huh?
Well, the Americans started rap. It's just crapper rappers took over it. And I don't know why. I mean, I think this stuff is only to children who don't know any better. I mean, I remember when I was a child listening to rap music, it was about decent shit. It was actually about politics. You know, people like Public Enemy and stuff like that who could at least write verses. This stuff is just crap. It really is. I mean, bitches only, bitches only, bitches only, here by my side only. I mean, that is just, I mean, that's just the end of 4 lines. They're the words that are going to be rhyming, and it's the word only.
I know that's dope. You're missing it, man. That's dope.
Fucking hell. I mean, who writes this shit? Oh, and then in comes Lil Wayne, and guess what he rhymes? He rhymes the words... he rhymes the word nigger with an A, with the word nigger with an A, with the word nigger with an A. You know, he's just like, you know, are you even trying anymore?
Nicki's notorious for that, for repeating the same word over and over.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is the equivalent of their amazing rhyming ability. I saw a cat. It was sat on a mat. I told it to step back. I did a rap about a baseball bat, and it shat right there on the mat. How am I supposed to wipe my feet on that mat when the cat shat on that mat? I mean, that's actually better than what they could come out with.
That's Dr. Seuss rapping.
Yeah, Dr. Seuss can lay down some brilliant rhymes.
I watched that Rap Battles of History. I can vouch for that shit.
Yeah. I mean, did you see the latest one they did, Ghostbusters versus Mythbusters?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. It's got the guy from Key of Awesome in it as well. And, yeah, it's so good. It's Mythbusters versus... And there's so many good references in there.
Right on.
It's worth a watch.
Yep.
It's their first of their new series.
Well, we got another rap video on here for you. Let's see.
Alright, what's that one?
Okay, it's about... Let's see. Who's the guy? Okay, we got Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly. He's apparently commenting on some... Hold on a second. Okay, yeah, he's bitching about Eminem. Alright, here's...
As I got back into Tubuza last night, there was a concert for Valor on HBO, honoring American veterans. One of the performers invited rapper Eminem. Nice, huh? American families having to see that. But what did you expect when you invite Eminem, which the promoters obviously did? They know who he is, and they know what he does. So the concert promoters, and Starbucks is one of them, insulted all American vets, in my opinion. Back to today, there's a quote: if you dine with the devil, bring along spoon.
Okay, so apparently that was Bill O'Reilly, who was apparently at odds with Eminem being at that Veterans Day concert because he used profanity. And I think this is interesting considering the fact that he's actually famous for actually losing it after, he couldn't be consistent with his lines and said, fuck it, we'll do it live, fuck it, fucking thing sucks, unquote. So I just think that's interesting. And also, what happened to the freedom to express? I mean, what happened? I mean, are people? Is this concept just dead to the political right? I mean,
well, you know what it is. Bill O'Reilly is just talking to old people. Bill O'Reilly is really just talking to people who are Bill O'Reilly. In fact, the Bill O'Reilly show is just a place where people can go to listen to somebody who they already agree with them, tell them how they already think. It's just that's what he's doing. He's just talking to his audience. He's just telling them what they want to hear. It's not news. It's just pandering.
Yep, agreed.
And I mean, there's nothing really in it. Oh, somebody said a swear word. Yeah, people have said them on TV long a fucking ago. The word fuck was used back on British TV for the first time in the 1930s.
Oh,
It's a word. Fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck. There you go. It means nothing. Shit, cunt, bollocks, piss, fuck. They're just words. I mean, why are we sticking to this outdated Victorian... This is an idea. This whole curse words thing, I think, only really dates back to the Victorian idea. People before that weren't word policing. It was a new thing back around the Victorian era.
Yeah, it's still wild to me why people care and try to say that it's showing your... I understand, like, the Victorian era thing, how it's come across as more of, like, a peasant-type talk.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? Today...
Well, even the lords and stuff back then used to swear. It just wasn't done in company. But it still fucking was.
Right. Even today, where that gap is gone like that. I mean, there's still the obviously big gap, but there's not this huge population that's a royal society and one that's not. And it's the peasants now that are worried about them staying around under peasants.
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that, I mean, Puritanism culture took hold massively in the Victorian era. And there was, there was always this move, if you look, just like at the early 1900s, things started, everybody was trying to outlaw everything, much like they are now. Because with a free society, you're going to hear things that you don't like. And I mean, there's a great thing I'd like to comment on, which is this whole thing of, well, we landed on a comet recently, but everybody was far too interested in the fact that the guy was wearing a shirt covered in naked ladies. And I think the guy was a dick because he actually apologized for it. Do you know what I'd have done? I'd have got a microphone and just gone, yeah, I wore a t-shirt with naked ladies on it that was actually made by a friend of mine who's a woman. I landed a comet on the fucking moon.
Right.
Well, not on the moon, but I landed a fucking probe on a comet. What have you done with your life? Nothing. Well, why don't you kindly fuck off, you silly journalistic little prat. Stop pushing your gender fucking, your gender politics and actually fucking talk about something that's worth talking about. Like the shit we just landed on a comet, not what I'm fucking wearing while I do it, you cunt. And then you come over here, I'll fucking glass you in the face. And that's how I would have finished it off.
Yeah. Okay. Now, well, enough of that bullshit. I mean, we all are we all in agreement that Bill O'Reilly is a disingenuous fucking person.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the guy's just a fucking... He's just so slimy. It's like every time before he starts a broadcast, he has to crawl his way into the studio through a haunted mirror.
Well, I've heard outside of that environment, he's not that kind of guy. Doesn't mean that he's a good guy outside of that environment, but that he's a different guy outside of that environment. I don't know that you could pay me enough to act like that, but I'm sure I have my price.
Wouldn't you love it if just like footage came out, like somebody pulled out a camera phone at a house party, and it turns out Bill O'Reilly is more like me, like
Right?
he's like necking back a couple of pints, got a joint in his hand, just like, yeah, and you know that other fucking cunt I don't like, yeah, fuck him, you know, Jesus Christ, you know, I'll knock the fucking crap out of him, I'll fucking shiv the cunt. I'd love it if that's what he came out with, like when the second the cameras go off, he actually suddenly like, what really happens is Bill O'Reilly, he goes from that kind of like well-spoken sort of American sort of voice into sort of like, well, I'm from Scotland, I drink and I fucking headbutt you, you cunt. Don't give a shit what Eminem says in his song, the guy's a fucking ponce. Hasn't made a good fucking rap album in the last like 10 years, no one gives a shit. I mean, that's just it. I don't care. I mean, the one thing if you want to say something about Eminem, how about try making some decent music like you used to, you fucking waste of space. Stop releasing albums where everybody else does most of the fucking work on them. When I buy an album that says Eminem, I want him to at least have wrote and sung half of the songs on there. Not like is featured in a load of songs with other people doing most of the work.
Right.
Which is what he's done ever since he hooked up with D12.
Yep.
I mean, that'd be some bullshit.
Okay. Hold on. We got a story. Apparently, Ray Comfort's special friend and partner, Kirk Cameron, apparently he's made a recent political point with regard to education. Let's you know,
Right.
and I think this is special because around the holidays, it's okay, in regards to a Maryland school removing you know, Christian holidays from the vacation calendar because, you know, wait.
Yep.
They want to maintain a sense of equality, you know, amongst all the kids of different cultures that go in there, you know, because America is a melting pot and all this. But apparently, he made the point that because education is inherently religious, that apparently that's wrong on that level. And
Oh, that's bullshit for
education-
starters.
What?
Yeah, education is inherently
exactly,
religious.
of course.
Education has existed long before the Christian religion. I mean, the word university harps back to ancient fucking Greece, so does academia.
For not from their perspective, because they've got Adam and Eve. They were the ones that were first taught by God.
Well, actually, no. Actually, it was the snake told them to eat the apple, and that's how that happened.
Yep.
Remember, sort of like a Prometheus type of moment where he took the fire and taught humans fire to defy the gods, like
Yep.
Zeus.
Yeah, and in no way could these things be in any way connected or similar.
Yeah, I actually heard that today. A comparison is that, like you're saying, Tess.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah.
you know, I mean, we owe more of our society to just the ancient Greeks and the Romans than we do to any of these things. I mean, Christianity you can see the massive influences, especially in the New Testament, and in a lot of the sort of like the Christian revisiting of the Torah, where you can see the cultural difference shift. You can see the kind of like the Zeus and Jupiter sort of character be placed heavily in that, and you can see how Europeans took Christianity and basically molded it around what they already believed.
Right.
How God suddenly has a change of personality and acts more like the gods that Europeans were believing in for hundreds of years than the one that Jews believed in, which wasn't essentially a deity.
Actually, a tribal one to be specific.
Mm.
Yeah, but I just think this whole thing is interesting because also this is the guy who actually argued against evolution. Actually said he was a devout atheist early in his life, but apparently after a supposed conversion, which caused him to lose his job because he kept trying to evangelize during work hours, he just decided to go on this whole rampant alongside Banana Man and saying that evolution's not real and all this. And the Big Bang is just an accident, and it's ridiculous because they demonstrate that they're completely scientifically illiterate on either of those subjects.
Yeah.
Well, anybody who says shit like that is generally just regurgitating information from somewhere else. I mean, we see all of the and all the creationist types that you find over YouTube. They're all just repeating stuff that they've heard other creationists say.
Well, it's just being scientific illiterate. They're being Christian illiterate as well. I mean, they're using this as to prove God. I mean, the Bible states clearly in a few places that you can't prove God. God has to come to you.
Yeah. As if, human beings don't have anything better to do with their time than play peekaboo with mythological deities.
In science, I've said it many times, it could be flipped on its head. It wouldn't change my view on religion or God.
Have I found Jesus like I'm playing hide and seek with him?
Yeah, and also, I mean, like education has to be by its very nation secular because it's education is not. It's about learning about the world so you could actually improve your status within the world. That's the point. So of course you have to learn about worldly fucking things.
Yeah,
That's
I grew up in
important.
a private Baptist school, and I don't remember once religion ever actually being brought into. And I learned more in it. I was able to actually skip a grade when I came out to public school later on. Because I knew more about science and math and stuff like that than the grade I would have been going in.
Exactly.
Now, if they had just been teaching me about religion or that things about the Bible were science and stuff, no way would any of that happen.
Yeah, and also the strange thing is, like I've been noticing this trend towards secularization as society replace values of science and rationality over more religious conservative ones. They tend to improve and get better. Like idea of progress. 300 to 500 years of technological and social societal advances. Is this mere coincidence, or is this like mathematical statistical like proofs?
Probability.
It's demonstrable. Hey Jared, what's up?
Eh, not much.
What do you think about this? Oh, hey David.
Hey, David.
What do you guys think about this? Like story about what was that? Ray Comfort's guy, Kirk Cameron, saying that religion is education is inherently religious. What do you think of that?
Well, it's the same. Isn't that kind of the same thing they've been saying for years? Like, oh, look at all these people who are Christian. That means that we're also scientists. That means science is religion. Like you can't have accurate science unless you have someone religious doing it.
Yeah.
Okay? Ignoring, of course, that how many people were Christian at that time. And how unlikely it would be that anyone who wasn't religious could get an education enough to be a scientist.
Mm. Yeah, and even with religious scientists, it's kind of regardless because Babylonians they created mathematics Egyptians contributed to medicine, and they believed in like foreign gods, like are different from what many people believe now. But regardless of that, it was a scientific method. It was empiricism. It gave them the understanding of the real world. The religion contributed absolutely nothing. So, but hey Vince, what's up? How you doing? What do you think of this?
Hey, Vincent.
I didn't catch all of it. I'm sorry. From what's been said, it sounds like we're talking about science and God, or science and religion.
Yeah. Kirk Cameron says to eliminate like Christian holidays from schools is just ridiculous because education is apparently inherently religious.
Yeah, which is absolutely and totally wrong.
And misses the point on why that whole decision was completely ridiculous in the first place, which was the Muslims wanted one day, one of their religious holidays, to be, a day off from school, and instead the school board goes, no, we must make everything.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's literally them just being a dick to the Muslims. That's what that was.
Well, it was like the Merry Christmas bill that they passed in Texas, where if you are a different faith, you can dress your room as according to your religious faith for December or whatever. So you can, if you celebrate a holiday other than Christmas, you can pretty much out yourself to the school board, and they can find a reason to fire you. And yeah, it's bullshit. But it's like, I don't know, everybody says, well, there are tons of scientists that are also, Christians. Yeah, but when you look at the way they actually do science, there's no religiosity to the science that they're doing. They're using the scientific method, methodological naturalism, all of that. And so when they're in the lab, it's completely separate from their faith. They never presuppose that God did anything when they're doing science.
Pretty much.
I mean, it is possible to believe in a god and still believe in evolution. That's the funny thing. The only time that biology contradicts that in any way is when they say that abiogenesis was the start of it. That's the only point it starts disagreeing with God in any way.
Well, but that's not actually even part of the theory of evolution. Like, that's completely separate, because evolution happens to populations.
Hello,
It's
lovers.
like a population of one or two, and then say they evolved, because that's not how it works.
I evolved for today. I evolved being drunk and then evolved being sober. Hello, good peoples of the world. Oh, hello, David. How are you doing?
Hello.
After our last incursion, I thought I'd be polite.
Right. Okay. New story. Let's see. Okay. So apparently, someone's come out. This guy Staver. Apparently, he's come up with one of the most ridiculous marijuana story. Well, actually, marijuana arguments. Anti-marijuana arguments. Let's see. Let's just bring up the article.
Oh shit! Oh, you know what? I beg my pardon. I didn't notice this was actually the radio show. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, this is the Wolf Dens radio show. You should pay attention to what you're doing, Stizer.
No, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Maybe I should.
Okay, guys. Okay. Marijuana should be illegal because pot smoking crane operators are putting everyone at risk. Alright, not all of last week's election results were welcomed by the religious right, since in addition to Republican gains, marijuana was also legalized by voters in 2 states and the District of Columbia. Liberty Council's Matt Staver is very alarmed by these developments, saying on his Faith and Freedom radio program that while he is normally an advocate of limited government, such is not the case when it comes to marijuana, because pot smoking drivers and crane operators are putting everyone at risk. When Staver is driving down the road, he explained he has a right to be safe in my person, which is being undermined if other people are smoking pot because everyone out on that road at risk. The crane operator that's lifting this huge crane object over the top of a building in downtown Orlando or wherever it might be puts somebody at risk if they're smoking marijuana, Staver warned. And personally, I can understand why people are saying that this is retarded because for the simple fact that if you're smoking responsibly, I mean, or normally, the first thing you're gonna do as a pot smoker is sit the fuck down because it tends to calm the senses. It's also kind of hallucinogen, so it's gonna make you mellow. It's gonna make you want to like sit down. You're not gonna be like a drunk driver and get drunk on alcohol and then just go on a drunken bender, just like driving off, like smashing into things.
What would be
if you're
the
high, you're most likely gonna settle down. You're probably not gonna be able to drive.
Well, I
No,
mean, the
to
funny
be fair,
thing is,
I've
it's
been in a
just-
car.
What would be the problem with them putting a warning label on it like they do with medication?
Whoa, one at a time. Nick, you go first, bro. And then
Yeah, that's what I was
Jared,
saying.
then Chaz.
Would anybody have a problem with them putting a label on it like medication about operating heavy machinery? I wouldn't. I'm just asking.
No. Well, there's two kind of.
There's no real issue with it. Go ahead.
Well, there's two things. Well, there's two things, right? One, you can make the exact same argument against alcohol, and two, I've been in a car with someone who's smoking pot. It is scary. Like, we were going to Wendy's, and he's driving down the street, and the lights for some reason were affecting his vision, so he's driving down the street with his hand in front of his face, blocking the lights as he drives. And we're like, okay, no, none of this. What are you doing? You're gonna get us all killed.
Impaired.
So, yeah, like he's impaired, but I mean, it's the exact same thing with alcohol. We don't let people drink and drive, and you shouldn't smoke up and drive either. Like, this argument that, oh, well, people might do this, so we should make it illegal. Well, you could use that exact same argument against alcohol, and they did, and then they made it illegal, and look what happened. Like, the fact that people can't see the link that, like when we made alcohol illegal, it made drug dealers super rich. Like, it made the people who are doing it illegal really rich. And same thing with this. I mean, some of the people that are fighting against legalizing it are the drug dealers because they don't want it to be legal. They've come out and straight out and said it. Like, we don't want this to be legal because then we would lose all our money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? In previous studies that have been done, people who are stoned actually drive a lot safer than those who are drink driving. And they believe part of the reason might be the more paranoia that you experience makes you concentrate more on what you're doing. But yeah, I know. I'm not saying it constitutes safe, though. I'm just saying that's a thing. I mean, this person's argument, it's just like every other ridiculous opinion-based anti-weed argument that's out there. It's like, oh, but if we legalize it, and it goes into some slippery slope thing like, oh, a crane, what does making it illegal have to do with stopping the chances of there being somebody operating a crane who's high? It doesn't. Weed's illegal, and I know people who have driven boats off their fucking rocker on weed. Right. Making something illegal doesn't stop people doing it. It's this false idea that people have that, oh, well, if it's illegal, then people just won't do it. No, people break the law all the time. All you're doing is turning people into criminals. Mm-hmm. Now, people have general common sense, and there should be other people involved with that crane driver's job who will be looking at him before he goes up that crane, who will be kind of like, oh, mate, your eyes are looking a bit bloodshot there, mate. I don't think you should be riding a crane. And we can educate people. Don't operate heavy machinery until at least 2 hours after having a joint, because that's roughly where it would have worn off.
It is what they're trying to do, is come up with a way of just like they can do an alcohol testing to see if you actually have alcohol in your system and what level, of doing that with pot or other drugs.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're just guessing if they're high or smoked or.
Yeah, it's exactly no difference to consuming alcohol. I mean, if you go work at a construction site or you're employed, your employer's going to have their own policies and procedures. If it's zero alcohol, zero drugs, even smoking on a site, regardless of whether it's actually illegal, they can drug test you, they can do random tests, and you lose your job.
We don't have a metric for being impaired, though, where we do with alcohol as well.
And I don't think anyone who smokes weed would be against that kind of thing, like devising a test that the police can use on a driver to be like, are you stoned? Because, I mean, I think we can all agree we don't want impaired drivers, we don't want impaired heavy machine operators, regardless of what that drug is, whether it's weed or alcohol or Xanax or whatever. Like, you don't want people who are mentally impaired operating machinery.
Well, caffeine will do it for you enough. You have a couple of Red Bulls and start operating heavy machinery, your hands are going to be having the old twitches. You can have spasms due to caffeine, especially if you've had a large amount of caffeine. That's more dangerous in my eyes.
We need a metric of that. Is the thing that I think he was agreeing with.
Under the current federal laws for driving, and that's what this guy was talking about more or less, was driving, even though he mentioned the crane, you can be arrested for driving impaired just because you've been up for more than 18 hours, period. So there's already laws that say you can't be impaired while driving. You don't really need a blood test for that. You can get a DUI for being tired.
Yeah, I mean, we have laws in Europe against people driving. We have laws against driving for more than so many hours that we place on people.
Yeah, we do on truck drivers here.
It's not just truck drivers; it's everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, the businesses place it on truck driver, a different one as well. But
there's a 14-hour rule for truck drivers.
I do think it was about the crane operator that he was saying that he didn't want heavy things lifted by a pot-smoking crane operator being lifted over the highway over his car.
Okay, but that guy could be drunk right now and nobody'd know it until he killed somebody. So
exactly. I mean, this is the point.
Well, no, they're supposed to have standards whenever you're cranes and stuff like that that actually test you before you can take over the crane.
Nah.
To see if you have alcohol.
Yeah, there are sites that if you go in through the gatehouse, every employee at some sites I've been to, you have to actually do a test before they let you through the gate. That could be at obviously hazardous areas, more hazardous than normal. They have stricter policies.
Yeah, because it's definitely not every site.
Well, even the ones that are supposed to probably overlook it as well.
Sometimes.
Well, and the dumbest part of this argument is, like, they act like just because we would want weed to be legal, that we would also change the law that already says you can't, be impaired. Like, why would we change both laws? Like, why would we make it, weed's legal and you can drive on it?
The other thing that makes me laugh is what they're saying by it is that, well, if we legalize weed, then everybody will have to do it. Almost like by legalizing weed, we're forcing cannabis into the hands of everybody. Like, I don't want to smoke it. Don't care, you're smoking it. Go away.
It's like homosexuality. The same argument, homosexuality. If we let people gay marry, then everyone's gonna gay marry.
Yeah,
there might be a gay person operating a crane.
Of course, but okay, we're moving on because I've seen some reports about this. I've done research on this. Like, if it was legal, everything at various levels of society would be better. But of course, there's political and economic defenses against this. Of course.
There's one thing that wouldn't be better that's a big factor, and that's the fact that here in America, the prison industry is a for-profit industry, so the more people in prison, the more money those companies are making.
Mhm.
So if we legalize marijuana, we don't get as many convictions. Those people don't make as much money.
Yeah, that's what's one of the big legalizing marijuana is the
Yeah, but we've had prisons for a long old time, and they don't really seem to help
Well,
with a
no,
lot of
the point is they're not helping. They're
situations.
there to make money. That's
Yeah,
what they're
yeah.
Yeah,
They're
but
for profit.
I think prisons need to die out. They're a kind of a very old idea that we've
They're
been
private.
doing.
In America, they're private companies now. Is the thing.
That's the even worse part.
Yeah.
But I mean, even the state idea of like state-owned prisons, just prisons in general, it's
well,
it's in most situations of crime, it's certainly not a deterrent, and it's certainly not going to help. And it's based on outdated misunderstandings of human beings. Because, for instance, a lot of people who murder tend to only murder just one person. And, you know, they can be for a multitude of reasons, but a lot of people who murder, their only goal is to ever murder one person. And they've murdered that one person, they have no wish to murder again.
But why they're getting treated for that, they need to be locked away from other societies.
Yeah, I mean, hospitals, secure hospitals for, you know, people, behavioural retraining,
Right.
sticking somebody in a building that was all just the idea of we feel safer. It wasn't about addressing the problems in society. It was just about alleviating people's hysteria. That's
But
all
I don't
it's
think
about.
that's really arguing against prisons so much as arguing against the method at which our prisons get people better. Like, we focus on just lock them away and they'll get. It doesn't matter if they get better. We just don't want them part of the society. You lock them away, yes, because they need to be separated until we can be certain that they're going to be okay. But we have to actually do that, and I think that's the problem. It's not the prison itself; it's what we do with those people in prison. Once they're there, we don't care, and when they get out, we judge them by the fact that they were in prison. Therefore, now they can't get jobs, and we wonder, well, this person can't get a job because they were in prison, and why do they go back to crime? Well, because they don't really have much of a choice.
That is a good point.
Well, I mean, this is the other thing, but think of the thing as it's not just murderers and rapists and paedophiles that we're sticking in there. It's thieves and it's tax advisors. Well, you know,
And
tax advisors, so long as they're not rich people who own companies, like, you know, Starbucks, Amazon, Google, you know, these people who avoid plenty of tax.
Right.
It's and you know, should see prison, but there you go. I mean, these things like tax avoidance, what the fuck is going to be solved by putting that person in prison? I can understand taking a rapist, a murderer, you know, taking somebody who is a very dangerous element out of society and not putting them back in until they could be seen as an undangerous member of society. But, I mean, you know, oh, you didn't pay your TV license, or you didn't pay for your council tax, or this thing. So our only solution is we're going to stick you in prison. That's the punishment. It's nonsense. I mean,
Prison for non-violent crimes is kind of ridiculous.
Well, to a point. But you also have to look at the way prisons work here in America, and I'm sorry we got sidetracked onto this, but like Johnny Depp said it in Blow. I went in with a minor in marijuana, and I came out with a PhD in cocaine. You know, when people go to prison, they learn from the other inmates. If those inmates have done worse stuff than them, they get those guys' story, they figure out what they did right, and they come back and they go right back on the street and do what those guys were doing, but they do it better.
Well, and they also have to learn, like, they have to learn that kind of thing. Like, they have to get more hard, because when you're in prison, you have to act like the violent criminals, or you're not gonna have a good time in prison. Like, you have to get harder. You have to get more, you know, like, violent and angry and get more into that society of prison because you're there, right?
Oh yeah, I knew a guy I worked with. He went to prison for GBH. He was off his face and he beat some guy up, yeah? And you know, this guy had some drug or drink problems that could have been even better solved, yeah? By because he wasn't a naturally violent person. It was the drugs and the drink that were his problems. And if he had been put in there to sort that out, that would have been a much better situation. But instead, he went to prison. Now, this guy was quite a laugh and outgoing. When he came out of prison, and I saw him again, I mean, he was dead behind the eyes. He really was. He was just a broken former shell of who he was. Very quiet, very withdrawn, and there was just like, you looked into his eyes and it was just blank. It really was an unnerving.
Yeah, honestly,
Like
honestly, I
friend,
think that there needs to be better effort towards like reforming, you know, criminals who go into the system, and all they do is learn how to be better criminals, and like, you know, they don't have that sense of you know, reshaping one's character to better fit a more stable life and such like that. But yeah, listen, news story. KKK calls black protesters terrorists. Apparently, there's a group of Ku Klux Klan members that are going around putting flyers on and around the Missouri area, and apparently they've said, like, just according to it, you have awakened a sleeping giant. The good people of St. Louis County, of all races, colors, and creeds, will not tolerate your threats of violence against our police officers, their families, and their communities. We will not sit by and allow you to harm our families, communities, property, or disrupt our daily lives. Your right to freedom of speech does not give you the right to terrorize citizens. So yeah.
Didn't the woman who's like one of the major figures in the whole Ferguson riots, didn't she something like crackers should die on Twitter recently, and then she's lost her job because of it?
Oh, I didn't hear about it, honestly.
I haven't heard about their story now.
But I heard, I did hear about like after this, an interview done by Chris Hayes on this whole thing by the I think the Grand Dragon dude. I think I forgot his name. Frank something. Frank Anoia or something. And apparently he said he was worried about like attacks on white people, like you know, afraid their wives are gonna get raped and some shooting out of DC or something like this. And you know, it consists of, you know, basic paranoia and psychological disorders and stuff like that.
It's a pretty standard line for the Ku Klux Klan. I know they also actually put out a press release saying that if the protests in Ferguson continue and they get violent, they will use deadly force and start shooting people of color.
So it's a fun old time in America then.
No,
See, I'm
no,
going to say, I said it before and I'm going to say it again. America's entire problem was that they had the segregation. We didn't in Europe. In England, when we abolished slavery a little while before you did, and it didn't take a war to do it, we didn't then have a segregation culture, whereas America, you did have that, and I think that segregation is what's leading to a lot of the problems that you have now. It's still, there is this divisive understanding in culture that's still not fully gone.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we kind of, I'm from Canada, so we kind of have the same thing where the segregation with the black culture didn't happen, but instead we did it to the native culture here. And so we have almost the exact same problem here in Canada with our native population as America does with their African American population.
Are you talking about like the Inuits?
No, well, not just Inuits. Like we have a lot of like high in poverty, like in the same way that in America, African American poverty is just insanely way more than other cultural. It's the same thing in Canada. The native population is heavily targeted by police. They're way more affected by like the drug wars and that kind of thing. Like it in this all the same complaints that African American in the States are the exact same thing native population has here in Canada. Like systematic racism in the laws and stuff.
Mm.
And horrible corruption of the leaders. Like we recently found out that one of the reserve leaders he made like $1.5 million in a year, and his the people who actually live in the reservation are living in derelict houses and starving, and they they're not getting educational help and all that kind of thing. But the leader's making $1.5 million.
Well,
yeah, well, that's going on the world over. I mean, it's like over here. I mean, our politicians, right? There is this photo I saw on Facebook, and it's of the Houses of it's the Houses of Commons, and inside there, when they were debating the living wage, hardly any of them showed up to debate that. But when they were debating their own pay rise, you couldn't get enough MPs in that fucking house, you know. It's just, I mean, it's ridiculous. So the whole system has become corrupt. The political class are becoming a new aristocracy of their own right. There is just nothing but nepotism. They're helping out companies. In Ireland at the moment, you've got people burning their water contracts because they've got They've got a broken and damaged infrastructure. The pipes are rusting and leaking and stuff like that, and they want to now charge people for their water where it's always been free in Ireland. It's been just part of the tax. They want people to pay for it separately, and you know, all of those problems could easily be fixed if they collected the tax that places like Amazon and stuff. There's like trillions of pounds worth of tax that's not collected from these huge companies, and there's billions of pounds of infrastructure that we have already paid for that we're then paying for again.
I want you. Okay, like I'm just gonna say this. Well, we understand that, you know, just traditionalist politics is bad shit, and move on to the next story. There's a bit of bad news from your country because your government says it has, quote, a blanket ban on everything that gets you high. Like they're just they're gonna stop doing that. So, I mean, does that mean will you ever toke again, or is your politics run amok and something like that? Like, is social freedom dead over there, or like what?
Our government's suppressing a report at the moment, which a load of countries did reports on whether or not the war on drugs it worked. And every time there's been a study on this, they've always come out and said no, as does ours, except the government's trying to suppress it. Because, I mean, the problem with our politics is the media, to a large degree. If a political candidate ever came out and said, you know, I'm in favor of legalizing marijuana, then the papers could run. They're so scared that the papers would run with that and, you know, basically ruin their career. So, you know, they play up to this what they think the public wants image just to get elected. The whole system of how we do things is completely stupid. It's outdated. It doesn't fit. It hasn't been working for years, and it's been working even less now. And what you've got is one small bunch of people who are trying to rig the game in their favour. They don't care about whether weed's illegal or not. The only thing they care about is by saying, oh, we'll be tough on crime. We're going to, you know, win the war on drugs, sort of stuff. So they can then justify sinking billions of pounds of your taxpayer money into think tanks and other things like that. You know where a lot of your tax money goes? Not where it should be going. It goes on them setting up these little companies so they can pretty much siphon away the fucking treasury into their own fucking pockets and into the pockets of their friends.
Well, actually, they're saying the primary target of this new law are the shops selling legal highs. I mean, these outlets have caused huge embarrassment for police, trading standards, local councils, and the government. The media.
I mean, legal highs. I mean, there are legal highs out there which are worse for you than cannabis. I mean, there is. I mean, are they going to ban alcohol? No. Are they going to ban nicotine? That technically gives you a high.
No. One of the reporters that was there when they announced that actually asked that question, and they went, no. Obviously, alcohol, caffeine, and cigarettes would still be legal because that's our history and our culture. That one's fine.
And not anything to do with the fact that alcohol, tobacco companies give millions and millions of pounds to political candidates at all. Do you know one thing, talking about America, right? Do you know, right, the Republicans won this year, and the person who's, like, the people who have won every year have been the people who have paid the most money. And they paid $40 billion, sorry, of American money was spent on making those things. That's $40 billion just to have some tart stand there and say, I'm not Obama and I disagree with everything he says. It's just kind of like you put $40 billion on television advertising for your election, not $40 billion pounds on, perhaps
and you have
setting
to
up
shut down like the government twice just to see their political ideology fulfilled. Trust me.
You heard they're threatening to do that again, eh? They're threatening to shut it down again.
Are they, eh?
Yeah, but they already said that there's situations in which they would shut down the government again.
Of course. And then when the soldiers start getting their paychecks and stop fighting for them, they can get fucked.
I still think the craziest stat is that Congress had 14% approval rating going into the election, but 95% of them got reelected. Like, wait, what?
Do you know what I found funny?
We hate you, but we'll put you back in power.
There was other stats. The Republican Party, is the least populous. They voted for the least popular party to control the thing they have the least faith in. Isn't that just sum up the entire problem with our political system? And I mean, over here we've got a problem at the moment. We're about to go into the leaders' debates because we got our election in 2015, and we've got 4 leaders, which is you've got the Labour leader, the Conservative leader, and the Liberal Democrats, which are usually always involved because they're the 3 establishment parties. Now they're adding a 4th to that list, which is UKIP. Nigel Farage is going to be involved, and so and these are all 4 of these are right-wing authoritarian parties. The Green Party, who have had a seated MP since 2010, a woman called Caroline Lucas, who's been arrested on a number of times because she's been at protests. She's been on the front line of politics, protesting against fracking. Their party is not getting invited into these leader debates, but Nigel Farage is. And I've actually made a complaint to the BBC, and their response was basically, yeah, well, this is the format that we've agreed upon. UKIP seemed very popular with the British people, and I had to send them back a thing.
Are you getting idealistic? You sound more like a Yank.
And I had to send back to them, well, actually, I think you'll find, we did a thing called voteyourpolicies.org, where they didn't say whose policies they were. They just left you the 6 policies of the 6 major parties, and you had to pick which one you thought was the best. And the Green parties won hands down. So among the British public, Green policies are the more agreed upon, but because only pricks like Nigel Farage are the ones in the papers, people think that they're the only sensible alternative party to the three establishment. And that's the only reason why, if UKIP weren't, if the Green Party were in the papers a lot more, people would be preferring them over UKIP. Because all UKIP are a bunch of racist Tories.
Well, and that's no different than in America, where, I mean, if you ask them policy by policy, the American people overwhelmingly agree with the Democrats. But then you ask them, well, you ask them in a different way, and they go, oh, well, no, I don't like the Democrats. It's kind of like they did that survey about Obamacare, where they asked them the individual parts of Obamacare, and they're like, yeah, I really like that stuff, but I hate Obamacare.
I mean, honestly, the thing with politics is the aim has got to move forward because you try to stay backward, you're just not gonna move. There's gonna be mobility at a zero pace. But anyway, But honestly, I'm gonna do my close. And all right, guys, this has been the Wolf's Den Radio Show. You've been an awesome panel. I'm gonna take us out right now. Let's see. All right. See you guys next Friday. This has been Wolf and Chaz and X-Flash who left. And this has been the Wolf's Den Radio Show. Later, y'all. We're out.